The moment when tempers really got out of control on the House floor. Tensions flared when Representative Matt Gaetz sunk Kevin McCarthy's 14th effort to be elected Speaker of the House. Even by the heated standards of the tensions that flared among House Republicans during their 4-day push to elect a Speaker, what happened on the House floor around 11 p.m. on Friday stood out. Representative Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida, had declined yet again to vote for Representative Kevin McCarthy of California on the 14th ballot, helping sink McCarthy's chances at Speaker that round. With Republican lawmakers growing irritable after days of fruitless voting, a heated argument broke out between several of them. But Representative Mike Rogers of Alabama, a McCarthy ally who is in line to become the next chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, took it to another level when he stepped toward Mr. Gaetz and had to be restrained. The dramatic moment was captured on C-SPAN's video cameras, which, lacking the typical restraints placed upon them in the House with a speaker, were free to show whatever moments from the floor its operators deemed newsworthy. Mr. Gaetz had emerged as the most outspoken critic of Mr. McCarthy, lambasting him in increasingly vitriolic and personal terms. He had mocked how Mr. McCarthy has sold shares of himself for power and called the Californian the LeBron James of special interest fundraising. At the same time, Mr. Gaetz had reportedly sought a subcommittee chairmanship in the House Armed Services Committee. An Associated Press photographer captured the chaotic moment when Representative Richard Hudson, Republican of North Carolina, pulled Mr. Rogers back from confronting Mr. Gaetz. Neither Mr. Gaetz nor a spokeswoman for Mr. Rogers immediately responded to requests for comment. Mr. McCarthy would be elected Speaker on the 15th ballot. Mr. McCarthy downplayed the heated conversations that took place after the 14th ballot. "Oh, nothing," he told reporters who asked what happened. "I mean, we ended up with a tie, and he was able to get the others to be able to go present." Luke Broadwater covers Congress. He was the lead reporter on a series of investigative articles at the Baltimore Sun that won a Pulitzer Prize and a George Polk Award in 2020. Representative Mike Rogers, an Alabama Republican, apologized to Representative Matt Gaetz, a Florida Republican, on Sunday after lunging toward him on the House floor last week during a heated debate about the Speaker race. Tensions within the Republican Party reached a boiling point amid a contentious Speaker race late Friday night as a group of hard-right conservatives withheld their votes for Kevin McCarthy, a California Republican. Gaetz, a vocal opponent of McCarthy, voted against him on the 14th ballot, sparking a tense discussion with some of his colleagues. During that discussion, Rogers, a McCarthy ally, confronted Gaetz and lunged at him while another congressman held him back. The scene was illustrative of a chaotic start to the freshly convened Congress, as Republicans struggled to elect their Speaker due to their narrow control of Congress. Ultimately, McCarthy managed to sway enough detractors to win the election, but only after 15 rounds of voting that nearly lasted 5 days. A day before House Republicans will face another test of unity with a vote on the rules package, Rogers took to Twitter to share an apology to Gaetz, explaining that he briefly lost his temper. "At Rep. Matt Gaetz and I have a long and productive working relationship that I am sure will continue. I regret that I briefly lost my temper on the House floor Friday evening and appreciate Matt's kind understanding," Rogers wrote. Prior to the apology, Gaetz tweeted that he forgave Rogers over the incident, highlighting their strong working relationship over the past 6 years. The GOP lawmaker said the incident would not get in the way of their work in the new Congress. "I don't think there should be any punishment or reprisal just because he had an animated moment. He has my forgiveness," Gaetz wrote. Video of the confrontation went viral on Twitter, with one video being viewed more than 3.8 million times as of Sunday afternoon. Eric Wasson, a Bloomberg congressional reporter, described it as the most extraordinary C-SPAN floor video I have ever seen. Prior to the incident, McCarthy reportedly pleaded with Gaetz to vote present, which would lower the threshold of votes he would need to be elected. Gaetz, however, declined. Rogers allegedly approached Gaetz to tell him he would regret voting against McCarthy. Although Gaetz's vote helped block McCarthy's victory on that ballot, he and 5 other McCarthy critics voted present later that night, allowing the GOP leader's victory. Those additional members were Representatives Andy Biggs of Arizona, Lauren Boebert of Colorado, Eli Crane of Arizona, Bob Good of Virginia, and Matt Rosendale of Montana.